Please ignore the circles under my eyes. I had to stay up all night to finish The Strength of the Few. This is book 2 of James Islington's Hierarchy series, which Book Talk fell in love with after The Will of the Many came out in 2023, and I loved when I read it late last year. Hierarchy is set in a fantasy sci-fi world that is heavily influenced by Roman history and culture. Jokes aside about what your Roman Empire is, these are just some of my books on Rome and classical history, so it's fair to say that I'm the target demographic. Big news up front, I like the book, and if you like the first one, I think you'll like this one too. But there are some significant differences worth calling out. First and foremost, without going into spoiler territory, you go from 1 POV in the first book to 3 POVs in the second. That means the world and the cast expand in a massive way, and that you spend a lot less time with the people and places that you came to know in the first book. Overall, I actually thought it worked really well, but it took some adjusting in the first 10% of the book or so. Also, having 3 POVs allows Islington to take a page out of thriller writing. He ends a lot of the relatively short chapters with these cliffhangers that make you want to just keep turning the page, only to find the POV is switched, and then you want to throw your book out the window but end up reading on anyways. Each POV worked for me. I had favorite moments in each. I also really liked how it allowed for the introduction of cultures that weren't just the Rome of the first book. Now, Islington came to fantasy writing in the Church of Sanderson, so it's no surprise that he spends a lot of time with his magic system, and he expands it in a really fun and interesting way in book 2 that also started to give me some N.K. Jemisin vibes, and I'm curious to see where he takes it in future books. You know, one of the chief criticisms of Will of the Many is that the protagonist is a bit of a Gary Sue, meaning he's just good at everything he does. Honestly, that's not a trope that really bothers me when I come across it, but I thought this book set up or expanded on some really interesting character flaws that could play out in really cool ways over the course of the series, so I'm going to give him some room to cook and see what he does with it. Islington's prose remains highly readable. Nothing's going to slow you down in this book. I did think as I was reading it how, an author like Pierce Brown has these great quippy one-liners, and he also does really good battle prose, whereas Islington's strength is sort of memorable sayings and aphorisms or observations in a way that almost feels Tolkien-esque at points. Anyways, there's some highly quotable bits. Finally, I'll just say this is very much a middle-of-the-series book. In some ways, I think that's the hardest book to write. You don't have all the intrigue and mystery of the first installment, and you lack, hopefully, the satisfying conclusion of whatever your final books are. Yes, some questions are answered, yes, some problems are solved, but more questions and more problems are introduced in the middle, and a lot is still left open. Ultimately, for me, I find it hard to judge these books without knowing how it's all going to wrap up, but I did leave this entry really satisfied and very excited for the next installment. Anyways, shout any questions my way if I can help you decide if this is a good book for you.